Understood. And let's use that opportunity to do a brief reset and show those of you watching us now expecting nightly news why we're on the air with you here. We've got a tornado warning in southern Mason County, widening the view out to show you what's happening in other parts of central Texas. We're seeing some showers developing in the hill country. Metro, quiet. Eastern counties, quiet and dry for now. But in the hill country, especially in Mason County, and next up, probably either southwestern Llano or northwestern Gillespie County is where we've got a tornado warning for what the National Weather Service are calling a likely tornado. As far as what you're seeing on the right-hand side of your screen, our storm chaser, Gabe Cox, has positioned himself in central Gillespie County, close to Fredericksburg, looking off to the northwest at this rotation that is gradually at about 20 miles per hour or so, moving off to the southeast and toward Gillespie County. So he's in a position there that he feels is safe, where he can get decent visibility. He's got an open field in front of him where he can see for miles. You just saw some of the flashes of lightning there too. Kristen, let's pop the lightning back on. We haven't talked about the threat that is bringing. Certainly a significant lightning danger in Mason County as well. At one point we had 1,200 lightning strikes in just 15 minutes, and we're probably close to that now. Now 1,400 or more within Mason County, and then just off to the west, although the more dense lightning strikes are happening in Mason County now. At the same point, we've got a significant hail threat too, so let's transition into hail mode as we're looking at hail up to about 1.5 inches, perhaps 2 inches in diameter, south of 377 there. So 377 kind of goes like this. So south of 377 is where the largest hail is, including portions of Streeter. And now we've got Hedwig's Hill here. So just to the west of you is where that hail is. It's moving in your direction though. Same for you in Hilda. All of you within the red box are in a tornado warning, and you also have the threat for some very large hail as this is moving off to the southeast and then eventually including Loyal Valley as well. Let's go back to the rotation, see if we can see anything new there. It's a little raggedy. And remember, we're in between Doppler radar sites, so it is not the easiest to see into the storm, and we're getting some reports from just outside of the area of some hail, but nothing of significance at this point. But certainly strong enough rotation still in areas south of the city of Mason, within southern Mason County, that the National Weather Service believes that we could have a tornado on the ground, and we're going to act like we do. Right side of your screen continues to be Gabe Cox's view of that storm as it's inching its way at 20 miles per hour or less into Gillespie County. It's not there yet. There's DOS, though, in Gillespie County. You would be most likely included in a separate tornado warning should the National Weather Service believe that the threat continues as the storm moves off to the south and east. Kristen, we haven't done a track of the storm in a little bit. Let's go ahead and do that, assuming that this is still moving at 20 miles per hour off to the south and east.
Yes, let me adjust accordingly. And the reason why you're seeing the flipping of the reds and the greens, as you mentioned, Nick, but for everybody at home, that's because we're right there where our radars usually flip. So this storm is going to be moving away from the San Angelo radar and a little bit closer to our radar that we've got there in New Braunfels. But if I take this out a little bit more east-southeast, if you will, at 20 miles per hour, you can see the estimated times. As always, you want to give yourself a couple of minutes on either side of that. But here's the latest.
Okay, very good. And you can see some of those arrival times there. Maybe we can make this full screen just briefly, just so that some people in the path of this likely tornado can see where it's going. And you can see DOS there at 629, Fredericksburg at 726. That is if the storm maintains its current pace. Kristen, you have something else?
Yeah, it is looking likely that from the newsroom, sirens are about to fire in Mason County. That's according to the Mason County Sheriff's Office. So they're just warning people, do not go out, stay away from windows, take shelter. So although it looks like the best circulation is south of Mason proper, they are going to be firing the sirens, as we're told from the Sheriff's Office. And, you know, that could also be for the threat of some of that significant hail, too.
Yeah, and as we say often, we don't want you relying on your ability to hear a siren as your only way of getting weather information. KXAN weather app, a great source. You can sign up for the push alerts there. You've got so many options to stay weather informed. You may not always be within earshot of a siren, so you shouldn't wait for that sound before you move indoors, before you take a situation seriously. You can scan the QR code on your screen, by the way, if you don't already have the KXAN weather app, but certainly a great tool to have. If you don't already have it, go ahead and download it there, because we've still got more storms on their way in to the rest of Central Texas. We think this is the beginning of what could be a very active evening and night here in the area. Let's get that reflectivity back on the screen, switch from velocity mode for the time being, and we can take the lightning off too. Significant storm, a dangerous one at that, a life-threatening one. There's the inflow wind, which helped to keep this potentially tornadic storm alive, pumping in that very warm, humid air into the storm. This is a classic signature of a supercell, where we would have a tornado roughly in this location, and then just to the north of that, some significant hail, potentially up to golf ball size or greater, including the city of Mason. Really, most of Mason County is now getting the storm, save for the far southeastern portion of the county, right along 87 too. And this is moving off to the southeast, as we've said, about 20 miles per hour or so. So that could include portions of northwestern and northern Gillespie County, as well as southwestern Llano County. In Llano, you're watching us getting a little bit of rain. Nothing severe for you just yet, but you want to keep your eyes out and stay with us as we track this storm as it potentially clips at least southwestern Llano County. Northern Blanco County, some spotty downpours, same for you in Burnett County, and still very little going on in the Austin Metro for the time being. We do expect that rain and storm coverage will gradually ramp up as we head into the evening. We think most of Central Texas will get some rain and storms tonight at the very least, and potentially more severe weather as well. But our focus for the short term is going to be this large, potentially large tornado on the ground now that the National Weather Service calling a particularly dangerous situation as this storm continues to move off to the southeast, at least 20 miles per hour, although just eyeballing it, I wouldn't be surprised if it's going a little slower than that. Kristen, it's been taking its sweet time to move through Mason County now, but this does give you in southeastern Mason County, northern Gillespie County, southwestern Llano County, time to prepare, time to talk with your family about where you need to be, time to pick up your kids if they're out at a friend's house and get them into a safe place here. Get anyone who's outdoors inside. As in Mason County, a likely large tornado is on the ground and heading into Gillespie and potentially Llano County. Back on the right side of your screen, we've got our storm chaser Gabe Cox's shot. We can actually take his shot full so that we can give a little bit of a better perspective on what we're looking at here. And there it is. It's, you know, the shot's going to be a little jumpy because as Gabe moves through the hill country, he'll be moving in and out of good cell signal there. But he is looking right at the area of greatest concern. I think he's just trying to get out of the tree site there and get away from anything that may be blocking his visibility. We've got him on standby and texting him, and so far he has not seen anything that confirms that a tornado was on the ground or even a funnel cloud at this point. But certainly we've got to act like we've got one on the ground now, given the extremely strong rotation that we're still seeing from high up in the sky there in Mason County. National Weather Service mentioning that by the time the radar beam hits the storm, it's over 7,000 feet. So there is a gap in knowledge about what's happening under where that radar beam hits the storm. But because of how strong the rotation is at the level that the National Weather Service can see the radar, because there is not one all that close, that level of rotation would typically drop a potentially large tornado, because you're not just going to have that level of rotation super high in the sky and likely nothing on the ground down to the ground. So we're looking basically almost due south of Mason, southwest of 87. This area of rotation here continues to be the area of greatest concern. And certainly flag me, Kristen, if the National Weather Service office start thinking about what they may be doing in Gillespie County with that warning. We're still looking at the wind on one side of the storm going 66 miles per hour, and then on the other side 75. And that level of rotation, if you add up the difference there, is about 140 miles per hour of rotation higher in the sky. Does not mean that level of wind would get down to the ground, but it is a sign of the strength of the storm that at least 7,000 feet in the sky or higher, it's rotating that quickly. You could bring those strong winds down to the ground in the form of either a tornado or some straight line winds or even both. So worst rotation due south of Mason now, southwest of 87, and then Doss right here. You want to be on the lookout and get ready to head into a tornado safe space if you're in Doss, because this storm is showing no significant signs of weakening as it's moving in a general path, heading it toward northwestern Gillespie County. So Gillespie County, we want you ready next. That includes you in Fredericksburg and also southwestern Llano. This part of the storm may clip you a little bit there too, but this is a very early first warning for you in Fredericksburg that this storm is dangerous and it is heading in your general direction. Kristen?
Yeah, that, as a reminder, means we still have that tornado watch in place for Gillespie County. You're not underneath the warning, you're underneath the watch. A watch means those ingredients are in place. We want to make sure we have a plan now and that we're staying informed and making sure that once that watch turns to a warning, if it does so, we know where we're going. We know that all of our pets are inside. We're not having to chase them outside. If they can come inside, obviously, right, we're talking about the dogs and the cats. Those that we love, those are coming inside with us, making sure that the kids are out of the pool and ready to hunker down. Warning was to be issued. So here's where the tornado watch is. You can see all of the hill country, Travis and Hayes until 10 o'clock. It's, in my opinion, one of those things we're trying to figure out, how is this going to play out? I would not be surprised if we see maybe another severe thunderstorm watch go up after that watch, because we do anticipate more to come after this cluster of storms coming out of the hill country. I mean, you can see even up to the north, we've got more development there. In North Texas, these storms still firing in big country. Outflows, those little green squigglies that you see just to the north of Sonora there. These can sometimes spark even more thunderstorms when they start to collide together. So we're not done. We know that there is a very good chance that this is not going to be the only severe storm that we're looking at, but unfortunately it is spinning. We know that from radar, and that is a very prominent and unfortunately kind of concerning looking wind signature with those brightest greens and reds right next to each other. That's textbook, Nick, as you know.
So just to show you our level of coverage, we've mentioned that we've got Gabe Cox, our storm chaser, down in the Fredericksburg area. We've also got our reporter Grace Reeder moving in the direction of Johnson City. That is what her shot looks like on the right side of your screen. She is in a mobile news vehicle that's got a lot of opportunities for different camera angles so that they can move that camera around as she is driving there. What was that, Santos? Okay, very limited power outages so far, which is good to hear. Only 9 individual outages there in Mason County, although I wouldn't be surprised if those numbers ramp up here as the storm keeps moving through Mason County into Gillespie County. You can see the outages there on the screen. So nothing super significant as far as outages go, although it does look like the outage number is going up, now 229. Menard, okay, Menard seeing most of those outages there just west of Mason County, where we did in fact have a confirmed tornado on the ground there about an hour ago. So if you're just joining us, we are continuing our tornado warning coverage for Mason County, where we have what the National Weather Service are calling a likely large tornado on the ground in Mason County. On the right side of your screen now is our storm chaser Gabe Cox, who continues to generally work his way through Gillespie County, which is one county away, of course, from our current ongoing tornado warning. So he's positioning himself and repositioning himself in a way so that he can get a good eye perspective on this likely tornado, but from a distance, a safe distance, so he can avoid the hail. Just looking at his position now, he has worked his way back up north into Mason County. I think he's going to try avoiding some of the hail, but getting a view of the storm from the north of it, unless his position just hasn't updated in a little bit. But it looks like he is back in Mason County now, near Loyal Valley, trying to look at the storm from the east looking to the west. So he's right near here, looking west now at the storm. I think he's trying to get a better view of it because he wasn't able to see the rotation that concerned the National Weather Service so much from where he was in Gillespie County. But you can see the storm he's looking at there. And we'll, of course, continue to monitor his feed. Large hail, potential tornado, damaging winds, flash flooding, all great threats for you in Mason County now. And very soon, we'll be waiting on a decision from the National Weather Service office in Austin, San Antonio about what they're going to do as this storm crosses into Gillespie County, because I do think that'll be where our next warning goes, because this storm still has that significant enough rotation, even if it's elevated, to bring the level of concern that would prompt a tornado warning and the potential that a tornado develops. There's the view of the storm from Gabe. Let's take that shot full screen while we have a still shot of the storm there off in the distance. Pretty remarkable there, that view from far away.
You can almost, oh, sorry to interrupt, Nick. You could almost see, you know, when they say that the sky turns green with the hail, that's what is obvious to me just underneath those clouds right in the center of your screen. Looks a little like off-colored. Sometimes we can see, in fact, the sky turn green with hail, the refraction of the light, and obviously you see a lot of lightning. And it's important to note, too, you know, there's going to be a lot of people who are interested in this, but you're not going to be able to see that tornado. It's likely completely rain wrapped. This is what it looks like from Gabe's perspective, and obviously he's a train spotter. He's seen hundreds of these, and we're not getting that clear shot of a tornado. But I'm positive if there's a tornado in there, Gabe's gonna find it. He always does. But we want to make sure people know to stay out of the way of this storm because it's so rural, because there's not a lot of populated cities out there. It's going to be tough to get someone with eyes on it. But we've got the best of the best out there giving us an idea of what this storm could look like as it blows through, again, in the southern portion of Mason County, on its way into Gillespie County, where we do have more populated cities. We also have a few more cameras out there that we can take a look at once the storm gets closer. But it's moving at about 20 miles per hour. And it's also interesting, too, that the rotation's kind of there on the southern side of the county, but most of the hail is packed in on the north and northeastward side of that storm. So if you're looking at the KXAN weather app and you're looking at that radar, it's a little lopsided with that rotation on the southern side and hail on the northern side, Nick.
Yeah, and you know, it is interesting and probably frustrating for Gabe that he's not able to get closer without trees in the way to be able to fully get a view of the skyline and the horizon below that storm to get a better look as to whether there is a tornado on the ground. We still have to act as if there is, and you could see just how frequent the lightning flashes are. This is a dangerous storm even if you took away the tornado threat from it, but there is a tornado threat. So we've got all threats on the table here. The potential that a large tornado is on the ground, also hail, golf ball size, potentially larger. We've got flash flood warnings. And with a storm of this magnitude, we may be also seeing the straight line wind threat too. And of course, there's winds that get sucked into the storm as it's trying to produce a tornado. Those can be strong and damaging on their own. So there's a lot of dangers with this storm, and it's not just a tornado danger that goes along with this. So we have to remember all of those factors. Kristen, I know you've been watching the LCRA Hydromet 2 to see about the flooding threat that we're seeing here. Are we getting, 3-4 inch rainfall amounts yet in northern Mason County, or are those still adding up?
Yeah, I'm not seeing that yet. I'm seeing about half an inch to over 2 inches. I mean, what's really, maybe the only positive out of this is the fact that all of this is falling in the Llano River watershed. So it's going to funnel into Lake LBJ and eventually reach its landing spot in the Lake Travis Basin, which obviously, if you've been out there, you know we need it. But now I'm starting to see about 1 to 2 inches right up against that western Mason County line. So we've got a LCRA sensor about 15 miles west of Mason that's picked up over 2¼ inches, several 1 inch rainfall totals coming out of Menard, coming out of Mason. So again, it's falling where it needs to be. That's the good news. Some of the most significant drought is out here, but unfortunately, the tornado risk is the cost of this storm.
Right, and we're just watching Gabe's signal here closely while keeping an eye on what the National Weather Service in San Antonio and Austin are about to do as this storm is now just about to cross over pretty soon into Gillespie County. Gabe is looking at this from the east northeast of where the storm is. As I pull up his pin off screen here just to get an updated location track, he is near Loyal Valley. So he is in southeastern Mason County, right along 87, looking to the west at this storm as it is diving south. And there's several lowerings there that we're watching. Some of that is scud, where you get some of that more humid air pulling some of the clouds down a little bit. Doesn't mean that we've got a tornado, although Gabe maybe sees something from his eye there that we're not able to see from his shot. But I think if he was seeing a tornado on the ground, then he would shout. But a significant storm, whether we have a tornado or not, and a large hail threat too. And I think very soon we're going to know from the National Weather Service whether we're going to get a new warning for this as it moves into Gillespie County. For right now, let's go back to the double box real quick, just because we haven't done a storm track here in a little bit. Certainly, if anyone sees that we've got a tornado on the right-hand side of your screen, let's jump to that full. Right now, tornado warning for Mason County. South of the city of Mason is where the greatest threat is. If you're in the city of Mason, close to the city center, you still want to be indoors away from windows because you've got a massive hail threat. But the tornado threat is south of the city of Mason, and now the worst of the hail threat is also south of the city of Mason anyway. Greatest rotation, and Kristen, if you could zoom in just a little bit more, because Loyal Valley is where Gabe is. That's where the shot on the right is, and he's looking off to the west. So Hilda, you've got to be in your tornado safe space too. It does get a little messy. The velocity signature here, as we're trying to determine where the area of strongest rotation is. It's certainly in here. It's just not as well pronounced because of the distance from the radar, and we'll start getting closer to the New Braunfels radar soon enough, so we'll be looking at it from a different radar here soon if we aren't already. But right here, west of Hilda, there's the Gillespie County line, by the way. There's Doss, bottom of your screen. So Doss, we want you in your tornado safe space right now. Even if you don't have a tornado warning yet, you'll probably get one here within a few minutes. Kristen?
Yeah, Nick, I just wanted to add too, we do know that this storm, and I'll put the reflectivity on a little bit, something I think a lot of us are more used to. This storm is moving towards the south and east. So if I do put a tracker on that, and it's moving southeast at about 20 miles per hour, you're noticing this is not likely to impact the Austin metro. So if you're watching here in Austin, Georgetown, Round Rock, even in Hayes County, this is moving a little bit more south than east right now, so we do not expect this storm to impact the I-35 corridor, but we do at this point expect it to impact Gillespie County. I mean, this storm is continuing to hold its strength. It looks like we're getting a new flash flood warning too, by the way, Nick.
Okay.
But this is the latest timeline. Again, add a couple minutes on either side just for comfort here, but Hilda, Doss, Fredericksburg, we really need to start thinking about, okay, how are we going to wait out this storm in a safe area? This is the time, friends, if you live in a mobile home or a home that you do not think is structurally sound, this is the time we need to move, right? For those in Gillespie County. Hilda, I would not recommend it. This storm is bearing down on you now, but Gillespie County, if you do live in a mobile home, you need to get out. You need to get to a safer spot.
And just generally about the severe weather threats that are likely to expand across more of central Texas into the evening. If you're watching us in the rest of the Hill Country or the Austin Metro, where there's generally not a whole lot of weather going on right now, as you can see, we're just about rain-free in most of the Austin Metro counties. Large to very large hail continues to be one of the greatest threats on top of the tornado risk. So if you have the ability to park your car in a garage, now's a good time to do so, to do all the things that you want to do to protect the property that you have outside, given that the hail threat goes along with the tornado risk, and we've got a wind damage concern too that will only grow as we head into the evening, plus the potential for flash flooding. While this storm remains in the Hill Country only, now's a good time for the rest of us to do the things we need to do before the storms start to expand in coverage a little bit. So 87's right there. Strongest rotation still just to the west of 87, due south of Mason, the city of Mason, within Mason County. Right-hand side of your screen is our live view of this storm from just about due east. That's where Gabe Cox is. He's looking west into it. That's what you're seeing on the right side of your screen there. And then here's the strongest rotation. So very soon we'll be hearing from the National Weather Service as to whether it's a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning for Gillespie County. But wouldn't be surprised given the lack of clear knowledge about how the rotation looks much closer to the ground if this tornado warning gets continued. This is a dangerous storm. There's a lot of lightning there too, and very heavy rain, massive hail. Although the hail core has come down slightly, there's still the potential that, as you know, these storms can ramp up, ramp down, ramp back up again too. So there's a lot to watch with this storm. It's a dangerous storm whether it has a tornado in it or not. But we still have to act like there is a tornado warning, that there is a tornado within the storm until they drop the warning, Kristen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could see the lowering there on Gabe's picture. So at this point, I think it's probably just a matter of there's not a lot out there. It looks like they just updated that warning, by the way, Nick. Not a lot out there, a lot of populated areas. But I mean, if this thing was, you know, moving elsewhere in a more populated area, I bet you we'd have quite a bit of damage. But a lot of open fields, a lot of ranch land, a lot of ag producers out there. And you know what? They're concerned too, which is why we're going to continue with this until that threat is gone or until the warning expires and we see this storm weekend. But just because it's not impacting a very populated area does not mean that we don't care any less about our friends out in Mason County. So for those in Mason, for those in Gillespie County, we see you, we hear you. We're going to be with you, reminding you that lowest level interior rim. By that, we are talking about, you know, we want you as far outside or far inside away from the outside as possible. And we're talking about putting as many walls between you and the outside. You see there's a ton of lightning. We want you to make sure that you're protecting yourself, your family, with as many pillows, blankets. If you don't have a helmet, it could be a squishy over your head. It could be a big quilt, something to, heaven forbid, the glass breaks, the roof comes up, you're not being rained on by big debris. We mentioned the fact that mobile homes are not a good place to be, especially when you're looking at this kind of storm. If the winds aloft are that strong, if the winds up high in the ground, off the ground are that strong, there's no way that this is going to be something that doesn't tear up trees and roots and bushes underneath it. So we're concerned about it. We've got visuals on it. This is, again, Storm Chaser Gabe Cox. Thank you so much for doing that for us. Nick, you've got an update.
Yeah, Gabe just telling me if there's a tornado in there, it is rain wrapped. All I can see is a dark mass where the rotation is in the center of the image that he's seeing. So if there's a tornado, you're looking right at it. And the wind threat is there. The tornado risk continues. The National Weather Service office in San Angelo continues their tornado warning until 6:15, and for places like Hilda and Loyal Valley. And if there's a tornado, we're looking at it right now. Kristen.
Weather Service in San Antonio, Austin is about to issue a warning for Gillespie and Llano.
Tornado warning?
Yep, radar indicated tornado warning coming for Gillespie and Llano.
Okay, so this portion that we've been talking about here the last few minutes, southwestern Llano County, northwestern Gillespie County, new tornado warning coming for you. This is a particularly dangerous situation. We may have a large tornado on the ground right now, as you can see from our storm chaser Gabe Cox, his coverage on the right. This is the area of concern on the left, and as soon as that red box pops up, Kristen, let's make sure to highlight the warning so that our viewers in Gillespie and southwestern Llano County can understand where the tornado warning is, who's included in it. We also have our reporter, Grace Reeder, who's in the Johnson City area, keeping an eye on this storm. But that looks like it very may well be a tornado on the ground from our storm chaser, Gabe Cox, on the right-hand side of your screen. So if there's a tornado, it's in the Hilda area now, heading for Doss. If you're watching us in Doss, interior room, away from windows right now. This is a serious situation as this likely tornado continues to move off to the south-southeast, or more southeast than south, at roughly 20 miles per hour. It's a slow-moving one. This gives the rest of you in Gillespie County a lot of time to get ready. Those of you in southwestern Llano County have to be ready as well. But you're looking at a likely tornado in Mason County moving off to the southeast. Kristen, let's zoom in just a little bit more. Near the Hilda area is where this tornado is on the ground now, if it is indeed on the ground, which we think it is. So there's Hilda. You can feel free to read some of the streets here. The boxes, from my perspective, are on the smaller side, so you may be able to read some of the roads a little more clearly than I am. But due south, in fact, just south of the city center of Hilda is where this likely tornado is. Loyal Valley is where Gabe Cox is looking at this storm, and he is as well trained as anybody to know when he is in a safe position or not. But it does look like we've got a tornado in the Hilda area moving south-southeast in that southeastern corner of Gillespie County right now, west of 87. In the Hilda area, moving southeast toward portions of Loyal Valley and then into Gillespie County, where we have that tornado warning now that continues until 6:45. Kristen, am I missing anything?
Nope, this is the newest warning. As you mentioned, we knew it was coming. It's not only that radar indicator rotation, but there is also a threat of golf ball size hail. This storm, located near Hilda, or about 12 miles south of Mason, is moving southeast now at about 35 miles per hour. So looks like it has sped up maybe just a touch, Nick, but it is, at this point, concerning. We were concerned about our friends in Mason, but you think about it's also Memorial Day weekend. It's a long weekend for many, so think about how packed it is there in the town square of Fredericksburg, how many people are out there at the winery. So if you know someone, friend, family, visitors in town who are there, you need to tell them they need to hunker down. There is a dangerous storm coming in from the northwest. At this point, it really hasn't shown any signs of weakening over the last hour or so that we've been tracking it. It's already produced a tornado. It's already produced 5-inch DVD-size hail. It's already produced flooding. So this storm has proven itself. It's capable of those kind of things. But now we're more concerned because you've got a lot of visitors in town in Fredericksburg who are unaware that a storm is coming in.
Yeah, and this storm is actually following the outflow boundary of the storms that we had this morning that I know, Kristen, you were watching this morning. Basically, the leftover storm and rain-cooled winds leave a leftover, almost invisible boundary that's become the location that additional storms fire up when we get the heating of the day and the return of instability after the sun came out this afternoon. And so this likely tornado will be continuing to track southeast along these residual boundaries from what we had earlier this morning. So Gabe is in Loyal Valley looking at that likely tornado on the ground in Hilda as it's tracking off to the southeast into the Doss area. Before that, portions of Loyal Valley, and then potentially Fredericksburg if it maintains its current path and intensity here through 6:45.
And look at the winds, Nick. Look at the inflow. If you look down, see that the prairie grass there kind of at times almost laying flat. Those are the winds and that Gulf moisture being sucked into that storm, and that's what's keeping it alive. That's what's keeping this strength. So that's why it's so valuable to have eyes and ears out there like Gabe, because he's showing us this storm is a monster. It's going to continue to feed on those temperatures, on that Gulf moisture. You see there, Gabe looking like he's about to relocate, find another vantage point. But this was exactly what Nick and I were talking about today. We had that round of storms blow through. Temperatures plummeted. I mean, we were in the 60s and 70s out there and then skyrocketed back to the 80s and 90s. I mean, the atmosphere is proving itself that it is capable of some major storms today.
Yeah, so Gabe is repositioning himself now for safety and also to get out of the way of the hail that was heading for his location too. Usually it takes him about 10 minutes or so to dive south and away from where this storm is, and then he'll find a new spot where he's able to look at the likely tornado. So for the time being, while Gabe is rerouting, let's go ahead and take graphics full. We'll do a recap of what we're looking at with this tornado warning. Again, Kristen has put an estimated time of arrival of the tightest rotation in a likely tornado, and if it holds together, it would be in Fredericksburg at 6:49, already in Gillespie or almost in Gillespie County. The Cave Creek School, if it follows this path, at 6:56. Of course, school no longer in session for just about all of Central Texas right now. This tornado warning continues until 6:45, but that's more of a location marker. Tightest rotation is over Hilda. If you're in Mason, you still want to be in your tornado safe space, mostly for the hail threat that continues north of the tightest rotation. But from a tornado perspective, city of Mason, at least the city center, you're out of the tornado threat. But southeastern Mason County, northern Gillespie County, tornado safe space right now. I'm talking about you in Doss especially. Let's get those tornado warning precautions on the screen. I believe our production staff can get those up.
For you, Nick.
They've got them up now already. Great. Good teamwork, everyone. Interior room, lowest level of your home, covering yourself with pillows and blankets, leaving mobile homes for sturdier structure. And I'm talking about you in north central Gillespie County and southeastern Mason County. So Hilda, Loyal Valley in Mason County, and Doss especially in Gillespie County, but eventually we're going to be talking about you in Fredericksburg too. You're technically already in the tornado warning in Fredericksburg, so you can go ahead and get to those tornado safe places now. Make sure you turn up your TV, and of course, as long as you've got internet and power, you can also get us on our KXAN Plus app, but you need those two things. Kristen?
Nick, I'm going to switch places with you. Our reporter and crews are looking for some direction on where to go next, so I will let you handle that. And I'll just briefly talk to you all about, when it comes to tornado safety, you hear that all the time. Downstairs, a lot of walls between you and the outside. But I love this example because I think this, in a moment of panic, when you're thinking, maybe not as clearly as you normally would. Let's say this is your house. I need you as far away from that outer wall as possible. Best case scenario, we're underground, but I know for a fact there was a lot of homes, in fact, most homes who do not have basements, who do not have that lower level. So we're thinking a closet, that closet that you put all the winter coats in, all the suitcases, blow all of that out, fit all of your family in there. Make sure you've got that KXAN weather app and the news app. You'll be able to hear this, our voice in this stream on the news app. We're streaming on our Facebook page. The bathroom is a good place as long as you're away from this window. You need to be on the opposite side. We used to say if you can pull the mattress on top of you in the bathroom, yes, that in theory, that would be great, right? That's a good barrier from the debris, but unfortunately, it takes a lot of work and a lot of time in particular to drag that upstairs mattress down to the bathroom. If you can do so in Fredericksburg, yes, do that, but I would rather your body in that safe spot with a helmet on or something you can grab quickly than not. Underneath the staircase, sometimes there's a little cubby that you could do so. I mentioned helmet. I don't even care if it's a bike helmet, if it's a construction helmet, helmet you take to work, baseball, softball, football. I mean, these are things that we talk about during classroom visits. Anything to protect your head going into that room. Again, when it comes to radar, the only storm right now that is giving us problems is this one. Austin Metro, right now, nothing. Those clouds are getting a little bubblier. It's getting dark outside in parts of Vernon and Blanco County. But right now, this is the storm of concern in Mason County, obviously electric, and then it's moving towards the southeast at about 35 miles per hour into the Fredericksburg area. We still have about 30 minutes at least for this storm to get in there. So there is time for my friends in Fredericksburg and surrounding areas to get to that safe spot, Nick. But just wanted to, again, highlight eastern counties, good for now. Austin Metro, good for now. Mason, Gillespie County, not good right now.
Thank you, Kristen. Gabe has repositioned and has a better view of our tornado-warned storm. So if we can take his shot, and we could actually take his full screen for the time being, just to get some perspective on what he's looking at. And that is the tornado-warned storm that he is trying to stay out of the way of while still being able to show us what he's seeing. Off to the right there is heavy rain. You can see the visibility just sort of drops off. So there's heavy rain in there. There's also some massive hail in there too. So he's trying to avoid that as best he can while trying to give us a perspective on this, we'll call it a likely tornado. I would be surprised at this point if what Gabe is saying is that there's a lot of tornado chasers in that area. If we had a tornado on the ground, we probably would have heard about it by now. I'm not going to say that one isn't on the ground or certainly imminent, because the structure of the storm certainly could produce one at any moment. But the fact that we have not heard about a tornado on the ground just yet is a good sign for us for the time being. That said, we have been getting word that the number of power outages in Mason County has been going up, now close to 1,000, which is not a huge amount, but they are clearly concentrated in the area where this storm has been moving through, and that is west central and now south central Mason County. And we're also seeing some of those outages starting to add up in portions of Llano County as well. So as we take back what the velocity signature looks like, this is how we look at the wind within a storm. There is still the strongest rotation there, right along and just west of 87, as this storm is in the process of crossing over from Mason County into northwestern Gillespie County. And then it would continue generally southeast, almost following 87 if it keeps on its current path. That's why we're so concerned about you in Fredericksburg, is that The storm, ever since it merged with another, has been relatively consistent about following a southeasterly movement. You can see where the largest hail is now. It's in the Hilda area. So the hail is north of the strongest rotation. So we've got a bit of both. Large to very large hail, about 1.5 inches to 2 inches in diameter, just west there of Hilda. Some of this large hail is moving into the Doss area as well. But we also have the rotation that is strong enough to potentially cause a tornado, as we've been saying now for almost an hour and a half at least since our coverage began just about 4:30 or so, 4:45. So we're going on about an hour and a half of multiple tornado warnings. This storm had produced a tornado just outside of the KXAN viewing area before two storms merged, and then it became the one that we're looking at right now. Our own reporter Grace Reeder is on her way to Fredericksburg. I told her, get to Fredericksburg and then get ready to turn back and head east should the storm continue on its current path. But Fredericksburg would give her a perspective on this storm as it makes headway moving in that general direction. We certainly don't want to put our crews in harm's way either. For those of you in Mason County or Gillespie County, if you have a report about what you're seeing or images, video that you want to share with us and can do so safely, you never want to put yourself in harm's way, to get us that image, that picture, that report, then you can go to kxan.com/report it or scan the QR code on your screen right now to direct you in that general way. You can also send us a quick email to reportit@kxan.com, but kxan.com/reportit is actually the fastest way to get us those images. And if there's damage already and you feel safe and can take pictures and videos of that, go ahead and do so. Interior room, lowest level of your home if you're watching us in southeastern Mason County, and then through central sections of Gillespie County, especially north of Fredericksburg for now. But in Fredericksburg, you know, if you feel most comfortable, go ahead and get into that tornado safe space now, because this tornado warning does include you in Fredericksburg and even just a little farther southeast of Fredericksburg too, before the tornado warning wraps up. And all things considered, we're still going to be watching this for at least another half an hour now until the tornado warning expires, or if the National Weather Service cancels the tornado warning early, which, given the significant elevated rotation that we're seeing, it does not look like a storm that is necessarily falling apart, even if we're not seeing necessarily the level of rotation that we were seeing earlier. It is still very much in between radars, where it is not close to any one radar, so the radar beam, even if it's at a half-degree angle, by the time it gets to the storm, it's still several thousand feet in the sky. So as we see the storm, it is the picture of it on radar is what's actually happening off the ground. Kristen? Yeah, I just
wanted to give you some locators for those who are familiar with the area or have got you know, property in the area. Right now, I'm watching this storm drop over that Mason County line and into Gillespie County. So an area that needs to be in their tornado room would be Doss 4S Ranch, Texas Custom Steel Buildings. If I take you a little closer to Doss and what's further east, right along 87, Cherry Spring, that includes the Welch Cemetery, the Sky Texas Hill Country Resort, and the Christ Lutheran Church all need to be in their tornado shelter. The Lodge Lazy 9 Ranch, Hilltop Cafe. If you're visiting here, you're seeing this on the screen in the resort. Ask those, you know, behind the desk, where can we go to stay safe? Oftentimes it's the lobby and in the back office or such. As long as you're not upstairs, you cannot be upstairs or a second level. You want to be as low to the ground as possible. So Hilltop Cafe, Legacy Ranch, Wedding Chapel, down towards Gillespie Waste Services name.
And the National Weather Service did recently issue a new tornado warning for southeastern Mason County, just because the storm had yet to move out of the county by the time that the Mason tornado warning would have expired, which was a minute ago. So a new tornado warning for southeastern Mason County, that continues until 7. This storm is not going to be in Mason County until 7. It will soon be into Gillespie County, but they did have to issue a new tornado warning for southeastern Mason County because the storm had yet to clear the county by the time the warning expired, or was due to expire at 6:15. Strongest rotation here, moving into Gillespie County as we speak, where we have a tornado warning that includes the city of Fredericksburg until 6:45. The storm is there. It's moving off to the southeast at between 20 and 25 miles per hour, currently located near Hilda. We just got an updated radar scan here. National Weather Service saying that the rotation still remains relatively broad, but the significant inflow winds are still causing potential damage with this storm, even if it is still a radar indicated and not confirmed tornado. So there is certainly some semantics involved in there, but we have to act like a tornado is on the ground given the structure of the storm, given the strong rotation aloft. Even if we're not getting that tightest rotation down to the ground just yet, we may still, as this tornado continues to this tornado-warned storm continues to maintain its strength as it moves off to the south and east. Meteorologist Kristen Curry highlighting the two current tornado warnings in place for southeastern Mason County until 7:15 and for central sections and northwestern Gillespie County until 6:45, and Fredericksburg included in that tornado warning right now. In Gillespie County, the main rotation is still well to the north of 290, right here along the Mason and Gillespie County line. Even if it's broad enough rotation at this height, it still may be tight enough to bring a tornado down to the ground, Kristen.
Yeah, and I think it might also be worth noting if the newsroom or Will, you can put in a note, maybe call our friends at Enchanted Rock and see what their protocols are. I mean, I'm sure they got a pretty nice view of this storm, but just making sure everybody's off the mountain. And then again, with so many visitors for the holiday weekend, we want to make sure you guys know that there is time to go inside into that safe room. Wherever you are, if it is a tasting room or winery, we know there's hundreds of them out there in Fredericksburg. You need to be inside. You also need to get as far away from the glass as possible. And I know that's tough in that kind of situation, but you need to be as far away from any sort of glass that would become debris, flying debris, if these winds come in. And as you noted, Nick, it is a very strong mesocyclone, so the circulation within the storm, but as the Weather Service noted, it's broad. So the winds, the strong winds, are going to far out extend even the inner circulation. It's going to get real windy real fast in Fredericksburg as the storm approaches.
Yeah, you'll feel that wind almost heading in the direction of the tornado-warned storm before it gets there. I know that tornado warning just updated, Kristen. Holler at me if you get any new information as to why or whether they're just continuing it or not, but no confirmation yet that I believe that there was actually a tornado on the ground as we know it. But the area of strongest rotation right between Dawson, Hilda, right along that Mason and Gillespie County line. Let's do a track on this area of strongest rotation as it moves off to the south-southeast at 25 miles per hour. And you can see that rotation is a little broad, so we might want to use the squall line tracker, Kristen. In this particular instance, it's not super tight from this particular angle, but they're just north of Doss, almost on the Mason County line with Gillespie County is where we have the strongest rotation, and it's moving off to the southeast at roughly 25 miles per hour. So
they did upgrade that to 35 miles per hour with
a new speed.
With the recent update. So this is 35 miles per hour that you're seeing.
Thank you for noticing that. This means that the tornado is, or potential tornado is, approaching you more quickly now in Gillespie County, which means you have less time to get ready and get where you need to be. So let's go ahead and do that now. Fredericksburg, the leading edge of the rotation would be on you by 6:45. Cave Creek School, 6:53. Blumenthal at 6:57. South Grape Creek School in that general neighborhood at 6:58. And the reason some schools are listed here is that we have our computer software list cities and schools so that we can pass on that information to you in case you're aware of a school nearby, and it may give you a little bit more of a geographical representation of the arrival time in your neighborhood. It does look like that strongest rotation is almost leaving Mason County, and once that happens, the National Weather Service will be able to drop the tornado warning for Mason County, but it'll be with us for Gillespie County here for quite some time. Let's take a look at our two live sources. We've got Grace Reeder, and we've also got Gabe Cox. Gabe Cox's signal is down for the time being. He's probably still repositioning, or he's in between areas with cell coverage. Our own Grace Reeder is making her way toward Fredericksburg with caution, and we've warned her that she may have to turn back east if she's on the road or seek shelter otherwise. If you're in Fredericksburg, though, don't try to outrun this thing. we want you to head indoors away from windows, lowest level of your home. But you can see from Grace's shot there on the right-hand side of your screen what she's looking at, and as she's approaching the tornado-warned storm that is in the process of crossing from Mason County into Gillespie County. Kristen?
And I think it's worth noting, too, as someone who's very familiar with that drive, and if you're new to the area or just visiting, there are not a lot of areas to ride out this storm between Fredericksburg and let's say, Johnson City. So you are safer in a sturdy structure in Fredericksburg, where there are a lot of buildings there in the downtown area, that downtown square, than trying to outrun it. There are a few in Stonewall, but that stretch between Fredericksburg and Johnson City does not have a lot of towns and cities along it. Your next best opportunity to seek shelter would be Johnson City, which is a long way when you're trying to outrun a fast-moving storm. You obviously don't want to go west because you're going to hit the backside of the system, and you still have storms in the Harper area. So our advice to you, for our friends in Fredericksburg, we need you to be hunkering down, waiting out this storm.
We've got our Gabe Cox shot back, our storm chaser, who continues to reposition there, and he has a knack of finding great positions where he can get a good broad view of that storm. Let me give a quick check at his pin to see where he has moved to, because for a while he was near Loyal Valley, and now he is working his way down 87 toward Fredericksburg. So he's parked himself between Loyal Valley in Mason County and Fredericksburg. So he's basically in northern sections of Gillespie County, probably right around here, looking to the west at the area of strongest rotation. The storm is losing a little bit of its structure. The strongest rotation still right on the line, even though he may be looking off to the west-northwest, more northwest than west, though, at the rotation. So he's further down 87, looking northwest. That's the shot that you're seeing on the right-hand side of your screen. Still no indications that we have a tornado on the ground, but we've already had enough power outages in Mason County to know that we've at least got some wind threat coming with this storm. Over 1,000 customers in just Mason County affected with this storm as it has moved through. So it is producing damaging wind, even if it's not tornado winds. It is producing large hail, even if we don't have a tornado, but we still have a tornado warning. Let's take that shot full. Look at all those people out there with Gabe. If we can take, yeah, those are all people on the side of the road trying to get a shot of this storm. So Gabe was telling us about an hour ago how congested the roads are with storm chasers, amateur or otherwise. A lot of people interested in the storm, especially when other parts of the country may not be dealing with the severe weather threat that we're dealing with here. But it does mean that in areas that are typically not super busy at this hour on a Memorial Day holiday, that it's actually rather busy and congested with people trying to get a shot of the storm for their own purposes or otherwise.
And it's, Nick, I think easy to get frustrated looking at a shot like that. But I will tell you, a lot of the chasers, like we know Gabe Cox, they are trained meteorologists. This is what they do. They're providing life-saving information. I know the same cannot be said for every human being you're looking at in that shot. And that is the frustrating part. You are prohibiting those from getting important information out to the public, and oftentimes can be a distraction to first responders. But it is a value of having a storm chaser like Gabe Cox, who's trained to look for these kind of things and get out of the way if needed. But we're glad he's out there with that knowledge, with that expertise, and with that experience.
Yeah, and what you don't want is people out chasing that are getting in the way of emergency responders, trying to deal with any damage, deal with any power outages, that sort of thing. Or you don't want them putting themselves in harm's way and therefore having to get emergency responders out to help them out. But we appreciate what Gabe is doing as a public service. By the way, the National Weather Service out of the Austin San Antonio office saying that the tightest rotation is right along Cherry Springs. So that is south of Loyal Valley, right along 87 there. It's basically just about on the county line with Mason and Gillespie County. So that's where the tightest rotation is, due south of Loyal Valley, still northwest of Fredericksburg along 87. So 87 is where the storm has been tracking a lot over the last hour and a half. It continues to stay near, if not just west of 87 with that strongest rotation. But if you're watching us in southeastern Mason County and now north central Gillespie County. Interior room, lowest level of your home, covering yourself with pillows, blankets, leaving a mobile home for sturdier structure. As this storm continues to track through Gillespie County, enough of a signature on it that the National Weather Service continues the tornado warning. There's one until 7 for Mason County. Have the National Weather Service canceled that Mason County warning yet? Probably not yet. No, that continues until 7:15. And then you can see the Gillespie County warning continues until 6:45.
And
they'll cancel that Mason warning once the storm fully moves over the county line, Kristen.
For sure, Nick, that tornado warning also includes the potential for golf ball sized hail as well, that in that tornado warning, which is unfortunately a little crazy because it wasn't that long ago that Stonewall was looking at baseball sized hail. I mean, wasn't that within the last week that we were tracking baseball sized hail in southeast Gillespie County?
Yeah, I think that was just last week, and we've had some more hail toward the end of last week as well. We've got another box, I believe, of combination that we wanted to show you of all of our resources now. Of course, here we are on the left-hand side with radar imagery, which we'll keep updated and keep passing on any new information as we get it. In the center of your screen is Gabe Cox, trained storm spotter, chasing the storm as it moves out of Mason County into Gillespie County, and our own Grace Reeder, our reporter here at KXAN, here with her photojournalist, tracking the storm as it moves toward Fredericksburg. That's where Grace is headed. So if there is a tornado on the ground, we've got a lot of different opportunities to see it. And we'll, of course, pass that on to you if that is indeed the case. We still have to act like we've got a tornado on the ground, given the radar signature, given the rotation, given the tornado warning that we have until 6:45 in Gillespie County, until 7:15 in Mason County. A significant lightning threat with this, too. We'll also often get house fires on a day like today, given the density of the strikes and the frequency of them, that more often than not, they're at some point likely to unfortunately hit homes and cause fires that the first responders have to go ahead and fight and deal with. Still all quiet in the Austin metro and our eastern counties, but this big mass of storms is sliding southeast and will likely spread at least some of its rain into portions of Travis and Hayes counties, and then there's the potential for more rain and storms to develop as we go into the evening as well. Right now, the greatest threat continues to be this storm. It's on the leading edge. Storms that follow behind it less likely to have a tornado risk with them because they'll be running into an environment that has already been somewhat worked over by the storms. And then the more storms you have intermingling with each other, they can also get in the way of the inflow winds that you need for a tornado to develop. But if we have a tornado, it would be right here. Right as those that inflow notch of strong winds helping to create this rain-free area as those winds get pulled into the area of greatest rotation. Also have to watch Harper closely too. This is our Covington Cellars shot. This is in high in western Blanco County, right along 290 though. So this is looking out in the general direction of the storms out to the west that aren't currently in Blanco County. And if you're in Blanco County, you are not in a tornado warning or severe thunderstorm warning. There's Johnson City, there's Stonewall, there's Fredericksburg, and here's the storm as it is approaching Fredericksburg here within another few minutes or so. It should be bringing that tornado threat higher into the Fredericksburg area. There's Grace's shot on the right-hand side of your screen. So as far as the arrival time, you could see there some of those cities involved. It looks like 6:43 for an arrival time of the area of tightest rotation into Fredericksburg. Looks like a brand new severe thunderstorm warning, though, just came out, Kristen.
Yep, absolutely. This severe thunderstorm warning is for Llano and Gillespie County. It is warned for golf ball size hail in addition to 60-mile-per-hour winds. So I'll take this track off for you, scoot you up to show you this piece of this storm that looks to be more east-southeast than it does southeast.
Okay, yeah, so it includes a little bit of Eckert. There's some overlap with the tornado warning, but not a whole lot, as more of Llano County included in that tornado warning and that northeastern portion of Gillespie County too. And then if this piece of the storm continues at its current pace, then we could see it continuing to head into the general direction of northern Blanco County eventually. So right now, Eckert, you're in this severe thunderstorm, and that severe thunderstorm continuing on a roughly similar pace as the tornado warned portion of the storm, moving off to the southeast at about 30 miles per hour or so. And you can see some of the arrival times of this storm in portions of Blanco, southern Burnett County, and Llano County.
It's interesting, Nick, that they have this severe thunderstorm warning moving east at 20 miles per hour, yet the tornadic, the rotating part of the storm, moving southeast at 35 miles per hour. So it might still be a little bit of those two storms combining and still trying to get apart from each other, but it's that piece that's moving more east, obviously a bigger concern for those out towards southeast Llano and Blanco County.
Yeah. And it's possible that the tornado warned portion is diving fast more quickly than this other section, which is pulling more eastward. But either way, there's threats all around, from the hail to the damaging wind, potential tornado, frequency of the lightning. Have we looked back at the LCRA hydromet reports lately as far as rain goes? Because some of those amounts are starting to add up because the storm continues to fall over portions of Mason County where we still have that flash flood warning. We
have about just over 2.5 inches there between Mason and the western county line, so closer to Streeter, about 2.67. So over 2.5 inches in the last 2 hours, and within Mason itself about an inch, but there's widespread 1 to 2 inch rain totals in Mason County, and now we're starting to see those rainfall totals creep up a little further south, right against that Mason Gillespie County line, close to Doss. We've had 1.5 inches in the last hour, and now we're starting to see those totals climb a little further towards the east as well.
Yeah, and Doss hasn't even been in this storm for all that long, all things considered. So it is just going to show you how intense some of the rainfall is, and that's one of the various threats that we have today. Let's remind everyone that we also have a tornado watch that continues until 10 p.m. for much of central Texas. That tornado watch is for most of the hill country with the exception of Lampasas County. These are the tornado warning instructions that you're seeing that apply to Gillespie and Mason County, but this is where we have the tornado watch. So a tornado watch means that conditions are favorable for the development of tornadoes, and then you wait for that tornado warning that's when you act. That's when you head inside, lowest level of your home, and that's when you follow those tornado warning instructions. But in a tornado watch, and we could take down the big instructions and leave the tornado watch instructions up. Ingredients are in place for tornadoes. Have a plan to stay informed. Prepare to shelter if a warning is issued. So these are the instructions for the vast majority of central Texas, because now's the time to get ready and think about what you're going to do as this cluster of storms continues to dive southeast through the area. This is looking like, on its current path, the worst of this storm is going to miss Austin and Travis County and Williamson County. We'll have to keep an eye on you in Hayes County, but on its current path, it will continue through Gillespie County and into Blanco County. We've got Grace Reeder live in Fredericksburg now. Grace, if you can hear us, can you tell us what you're seeing, what you're noticing around you as you're driving through downtown?
Yeah, absolutely. So we just hit downtown Fredericksburg, and I've got the shot up here because I want you to see how dark it is. I wish that this shot captured truly how dark it is. Everyone's got their headlights on, and you can see the direction, like you all were talking about, the wind of flags here. You can see the direction in which this storm is coming. Downtown Fredericksburg this weekend, as you imagine, is very busy because it's a holiday weekend. This is a popular spot to go with all of the wineries and such, and so as you see, we're seeing a lot of people on the roads here, hopefully people that are paying attention to the forecast and trying to get to a safe space, and I appreciate you all reaching out to us and giving us a route out of here. We're going to continue to monitor this location. I think it's so important just because this is such a busy part of town right now, as you can see as we drive through downtown Fredericksburg on the brink of this storm reaching us, Nick.
Grace, you should start thinking about heading back eastward again. The storm is approaching you fairly quickly from the north, and we don't want you to get trapped in Fredericksburg, whether it's for the tornado risk or the hail, but you'll be able to monitor it as you pivot your camera around, looking at your outside the back as you reverse and head back eastward. So that would be our advice, so that you're not moving through downtown Fredericksburg as that storm approaches. But appreciate your report, and certainly keep us surprised if you start seeing or hearing anything else in that area. But as it's approaching Fredericksburg, we don't want you there when it hits. And if you're watching us in Fredericksburg, stay where you are, innermost room, away from walls, away from windows too. and put as many walls as you can in between you and the exterior of your home. So we're back live now with a look at the rotation, which is not nearly as pronounced as it was earlier. Let's put on the reflectivity mode, Kristen, as we're watching the threat for wind. This is much more of a raggedy storm now, less of a pronounced supercell as we were watching earlier. But there is a hail threat, there is a wind threat, and then at least a low tornado risk with this. While we still have a tornado warning, we still have to act like there is a tornado on the ground. It's a possibility, and what these storms have a history of doing on a day like this, on an evening like this, is pulsing up, weakening a little bit, pulsing back up again. So while the tornado warning exists, we have to continue our live coverage here that's been going on now for just about 2 hours. On the right-hand side of your screen is the professional storm chaser, Gabe Cox, who continues to reposition himself in a way that he is saying safe while also able to give us some visuals of this tornado. Kristen, did they end up canceling that Mason County warning yet? The tornado warning?
Does not look
Still
like
looks like it's there.
Yeah.
Not for much longer, you would think.
Yeah, I'm really not seeing as much. I mean, maybe this little pulse down here just to the south of the county line, but it is, like you said, it's less of that circular rotation and more probably just some really nasty winds that are about to blow through Fredericksburg.
Yeah, and we are getting more reports of actual confirmation of some of the large hail, about 2.5 inches in diameter, that had already moved through Mason County. And the hail is a big threat for those of you in Gillespie County, southwestern Llano County as well, eventually into Blanco County. That large hail is included in the severe thunderstorm warning that includes southwestern and southern Llano County, not including the city of Llano. But that large hail, we're looking at 2 to 2.5 inches in diameter there, right on the line between Gillespie and Llano County. So this is still a significant, dangerous storm, even if the rotation is a bit more broad and less pronounced. There is still rotation, though, within this storm. Don't get us wrong. There's the threat for some straight line damaging wind, and that is closing in on Fredericksburg as we speak. But there's also the hail component, the lightning component, and as we've mentioned to Mason County, the flash flooding risk that goes with this, Kristen.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, you know, whether it's a tornado or a damaging wind threat, really the only difference is which way the debris goes when that hazard blows through. But with this damaging wind threat kind of extending out, we do become more concerned with power outages. We know that at last check, we have over 1,000 customers without power in Mason, in Llano County. So that is going to be a concern moving forward.
Just got word from the National Weather Service. They will discontinue the tornado warning at 6:45 and replace it with a severe thunderstorm warning. That is great news for those of you watching in Fredericksburg and really much of central and northern Gillespie County, that the rotation involved with the storm is looking less and less tight to the point that it would drop a tornado down to the ground. For the next 4 minutes, though, stay where you are. Stay away from windows. This is still a storm you want to stay away from windows. And this is still a storm you don't want to go outside, even as the National Weather Service replaces this tornado warning with a severe thunderstorm warning. So that's going to happen here pretty soon. You can see some of the winds within this storm at an elevation, no doubt, are close to 60 miles per hour or so, and some of those winds could get forced down to the ground with those downbursts, and that could cause some power outages. We've already had more than 1,000 customers in Mason County without power. And for the time being, we've got a tornado warning for Gillespie County here for a little bit longer, 4 more minutes. I'm going to go ahead and say that if you're watching us in southeastern Mason County, even though the tornado warning for you continues until 7:15, really the threat is over for Mason County, as far as a tornado anyway. We're still going to watch the storm in Gillespie County, though. Grace has been moving out of the general direction of it, even though it is changing threats from a tornado risk to a hail, wind, lightning, flash flooding threat. We still don't want to put Grace in harm's way there. If we can, do our very best to get her out as she's been moving out. But for right now, good news from the National Weather Service in that in just 3 minutes' time, they're going to be replacing this tornado warning with a severe thunderstorm warning. So while that is the plan, Kristen, let's just do a quick recap of what's happening in the rest of Central Texas and we'll almost dive into a little bit of a brief forecast because we're expecting that this cluster of storms may still expand in coverage as it enters the Austin metro as we head into the evening. Still no storms in our metro counties or our eastern counties at this point. We still have some significant dangerous storms in Mason, Llano, Gillespie, San Saba, not forgetting about you, Lampasas as well. And this will be moving into Burnett County and Blanco County too. So we're not going to just stop covering the storm. We're just going to go more into cut-in mode than continuous coverage mode as this storm loses some of its tornado risk, at least for the time being, Kristen.
Yeah, Nick, I think I'm seeing the same thing you are, and it's the fact because that circulation is starting to weaken, but we still have the wind threat. My opinion would be right now the two biggest things we're watching is that damaging wind threat, that line right here where the green matches the red. This is a concern for wind, and then the hail threat that's going to be clipping west, really eastern Gillespie and western Llano. So two prongs there. The wind threat, that's a little bit more central Gillespie, and the hail threat, which is more eastern Gillespie, southern Llano. And we're going to have to watch that hail core to see how long it lasts heading further towards the east.
Yeah, so this is a hail threat, a wind threat, a heavy rain threat, and a lightning threat. But we'll have to keep an eye on that tornado potential too, because this storm may still get into an environment where it starts to tighten up again. But for the time being, for those in our control room, we're gonna, at 6:45, return you to programming in progress. We're not gonna go anywhere though behind the scene. We're gonna keep an eye on all of these storms, and as new warnings get issued, we'll be jumping into programming. As a reminder, we still do have a tornado watch for all of the hill country except for Lampasas County, Travis County, including Austin, and all of Hays County. That goes until 10. So this threat is going to continue as these storms dive southeast through the area. Now, doesn't mean that we're all going to get severe storms. Certainly, the farther south you are, the greater the severe weather threat is for you, because these northern storms, at least for the time being, aren't showing severe weather characteristics just yet. So you may just end up lucky and get some regular old rain in Burnett County and Williamson and Travis County, but certainly concerned with those storms as they move through Gillespie County into Blanco County and then potentially eventually Hays County. We've still got Gabe Cox out there watching the storm, Grace Reeder out there as well. But for the time being, unless you're seeing that the National Weather Service has changed their mind, Kristen, we're going to wrap up our coverage here. And just a reminder, KXAN.com, the KXAN weather app, and if you lose your satellite dish feed or your cable, but you still have internet and power, you can download our KXAN Plus app as long as you have internet and power on your smart TV, your Apple TV, your Fire Stick, all of the above here that can get you our live streaming coverage as necessary. So that KXAN Plus app for your smart TV, as long as you've got internet and power, you can get that on your Fire Stick or Apple TV Plus to be able to navigate you through what we're covering, and we'll put our latest forecast videos up there too. We appreciate your patience as we've been on air now for 2 hours tracking the severe weather threats in the hill country. We'll be back on the air should that threat continue to spread. We now return you to programming.